Hello, in this lecture we will take a look at Chapter 5 and we will be working once again with Larry Landscaping. This will be the last chapter that we will be working with Larry Landscaping, so you want to make sure to take full enjoyment of Larry Landscaping in this process. First thing we're going to do is open the Larry Landscaping, which we should have down at this point. We could go to the file to open the Larry Landscaping, which I put into the data files personally, and double click on the file. We could also open the program of 2014 and then locate the file. Once QuickBooks open, you may see a screen like this. You may see a screen that looks slightly different. Whatever screen you do see, you should see a File tab up top. So notice that this will be there no matter what. If we want to go to the quick access, we can go here and go to Larry Landscaping, and we can open files with these icons as well. But like I said, later we will be using files that will be very similar in nature, very similar in naming, and it may be easier or better for us to go to the File tab and find the file because we can see the path and we know exactly which file we are opening. So I'm going to open a file, I'm going to select Next, and then I'm going to go to the desktop where my file is located, and it happens to be in the QuickBooks folder because that's where I put it, and it's in Data Files, and I'm going to double click on the Larry Landscaping. Once you have the file open, you can see that this is the correct file with the name up here in the sample for Larry Landscaping up top. You'll also may have folders open from the last time we were using Larry Landscaping, and you probably want to close those, so we're going from a fresh start going forward. Therefore, you could go to the Windows tab over here, this drop down, and select Close All. That will close all windows here. If you would like to reopen the Home window, then you can go to the Home icon to open the home window. Remember that if you do not have this View tab over here, I do recommend having that open. That's under the View drop down, and if you check this icon here, you will have this View tab. The only thing open at this time is the home screen. Let's take a look at what we have. I'm going to let you pause it and read through the scenario for Larry Landscaping, and we're going to skip down to the gray area where the activities will take place. So first one, we're going to create an accounts receivable aging report. So open Larry Landscaping, we have done so. Number 2 then says, from the report center, click the customers and receivables, and then double click the AR aging summary under the AR aging. Alright, so I'm going to go back to the company. We're going to go back to reports, and I'm going to make this large. We're still in the standard reports, but we're not in the company now. We are now in the customers and receivables. So we're going to go down to the second tab. I like to see this in terms of a list, so therefore I'm going to go to this icon here to make this a list. And then we're looking for the AR aging summary, was it? Yes, the summary. So the first one here under the customers, we're going to go ahead and run that report by clicking the Run button, and there we have that report. Number 3, change the report date to 11/30/14, and then click Collapse. See the company AR summary. So we want it to look like that. After we have done these 2 steps, we're going to change the date to 11/30. Yes, 11/30/14, and we are then going to collapse the information. So notice that you have these kind of arrows here, and if you click that, it'll kind of collapse it like that. We're going to collapse all of them with the Collapse button, and there we have a nice report here. What is this report telling us? It's telling us that people owe us money. They owe us $25,866. This is the stuff that's past due, 1 to 30 days past due, 31 to 60, and 61 to 90, over 90, and the total. So this is going to be a very important port for people that work in the AR department. We'll be working with this a lot. This number will also be on the balance sheet in the accounts receivable account. So this is breaking it out by customer. Alright, so we do look like this report, I believe. Yes, okay. And then I'll let you pause this and read through this area. We're going to skip to the beige box, which now has the activity of to investigate a particular receivable and on an accounts receivable aging report. So we're going to double click the 7751 balance owed to Brian. So let's take a look. 77. So that's this one. Why are we investigating this one, by the way? Because it's passed over 90 days. This person has not paid us for quite some time. So we are concerned about that one. We're going to double click and say what is going on here. And then we'll see the invoice. It's from Brian here, the date being here, and let's see what else they would like us to do. An AR aging quick zoom report appears. This report indicates that the invoice 23 date 5/5 was due 5/5/14 is presently 209 days past due. We can see that here. And we will move down to number 3, which then says double click this invoice to investigate further. Invoice 23 appears. Invoice 23 describes the items sold, their depreciation quantity, and sales price. So this gives us the general information. If I want to see the actual invoice, we can double click on that and we should get the actual invoice. So notice what's happened. Why do people owe us money? Because we did work and billed them. A bill to us is an invoice. So we created an invoice, sent it out, debiting accounts receivable, crediting sales. What for? For the plants. So we had these plants at this quantity, that rate. Here's the total, and here's that $77.54 that is owed to us that has not yet been paid according to this information. So then I'm going to skip down to page 75, and number 4. Click the transaction tab as shown in figure 5.3 and then click the blue text payment next to 12.4.14. The customer payment of this invoice appears. Observe that the $87.54 check was received 12.4 of this. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So if we move over here, we can see the customer tab and we can see the transaction tab. So if we select the second tab here, you can see that we have a payment, related transaction payment of the $77.54. So we do have a payment on there. If we were to open that, we can click on the payment and we see this customer payment here. And so then the question is, that means that this invoice was paid. Why is it showing up on our aging as unpaid then? And the answer is usually what the answer is often going to be, and that's a date issue. That the payment was on 12/4. We ran our aging report as of 11/30, so it was paid 4 days later. So if we ran this as of 12/4, just to check this out, then we would no longer see that over 90 there. So it's a timing thing. I'm going to bring this back to 11:30, and that is the reason for that. So I'm going to scroll down here. We're on number 5. It says to close the window. I'm going to go ahead and save these as we go. And so let's go ahead and save these reports. We have the customer payment here. We do not have the export to Excel option. We could hit the drop down and save as a PDF. If that's not an option here either, we could print it to a PDF file. What I'm going to do is open the Word document and screenshot these items for the fastest way to get this information that is not savable as the PDF file. So I'm just going to open up Word and I'm just going to very quickly go to File, to Insert, Illustration Group, and Screenshot down to Screen Clipping, and then I will clip this information, and just so we have that in case we need that. Then I'm going to scroll back here. I'm going to close this up by clicking this top window here. For you, it will probably go to the second thing that we had open. I've kind of jumbled around here a bit. For you, it will jump back to the invoice. If it does not, you can go to the open windows over here. I'm going to screenshot this in case we need that. So we'll go to the Insert tab. I'm going to go to Screenshot, scroll down, and I'm going to clip the invoice, maybe the whole thing like that. Alright, so we have that, and then I'm going to go back here. I'm going to close this window, and then we have this report. Probably don't need this report. I'm going to close this report. And then we have this report, and I would like to print this at some time. I'm going to move forward for now and see what we have next. Oh, it does says to close all reports. So I'm going to go ahead and print this now. So I'm going to go to this one I want to export to Excel. So I'm going to go to Export. I'm going to create a new worksheet. And then, because this is the first one, I'm going to put it into a new workbook. It's the first one, and the next one we do, we're going to put it into an existing workbook. So for now, we're going to make a new workbook, and it should open a workbook with this worksheet in the workbook. Alright, so here is the workbook and the worksheet, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the second tab, the page layout. I'm going to select OK when that pops up. We're going to go to the View tab up top in the Windows group. I'm going to unsplit the pane. I'm going to rename this sheet by double-clicking on the sheet and typing in the name of A.R. Aging Summary as of 11/30. Then I'm going to go ahead and go back to the first tab and save this. So I'm going to go to File, want to go to Save As. I'm going to go to My Computer because I'm going to put it on the computer. I'm going to browse the computer to find a location to put this. I'm going to scroll up and put it on the desktop because I think that's the easiest way to find it. I'm going to scroll down to the folder I created, which was QuickBooks, and we are in week 2, I believe. And I'm going to make a new folder by right-clicking in the open area, going to New and Folder. Call this Chapter 5 because we are working on the 5th chapter, and we can name this Reports Chapter 5, something like that. And there's that. Now we could close this, we could leave it open. I'm going to go ahead and close it. I'm going to do the same thing for my Word document. I'm not going to close the Word document, but I'm going to save it as and make sure that we do not lose the information as we go. I'm going to go to the computer, browse. I'm going to find that location once again. It's on my desktop. It's under the QuickBooks. It's in week 2, and it's Chapter 5. And once again, Chapter 5 Forms. Alright, I'll keep that one open in case we just want to screenshot a couple forms. In case you're wondering why these little icons are there, sometimes it's easier to have those icons when you screenshot or look at formatting. In order to have those, it's in the Home tab, Paragraph. There's the paragraph, so it's just showing that I hit Return on those items. Alright, then we can close this up. Back here, closing this up, going back to the book to see what we have to do next. You can then hit pause and read through the scenario. I'm going to skip to page 76 in the next gray area, which then has the objective of to create a customer balance summary. So from the report center, click the customers and receivables, and then double click the customer balance summary located under the customer balance title. Change the date to 11/30 and collapse. So back to the QuickBooks, and I'm currently in the report center. If you're not in the report center, you could go to report center with this button, or over here in the open windows, and we will now go to the customers and receivable tab, which is already there. Customers and receivables. If you're going to scroll down to the next subsection within this section, you will then see the customer balance here. So we have the customer balance, and the first item under that subcategory is customer balance summary, which I believe is what we want. So we will run that by selecting the run button, and we want the dates to be 11/30. I'm just going to make both dates 11/30, 11/30, 1/4, 11/30, 1/4, and this is a report that is a balance sheet account, meaning it's as of a point in time. So we can put any from date, and it should have similar activities, being that it is a summary report and not showing the activity. And then we want to collapse it. So we're going to go back over here and select the collapse button, which will basically collapse all these little triangles like that and give us a nice, neat balance summary as of November 30th of the customers who owe us money by customer and how much they owe.